The year is 1817. Emperor Franz I of Austria has just ordered that his Austrian Empire should be surveyed down to the most remote corners. The objective was to capture every property and every parcel to create a just basis to determine the land tax for all citizens. Furthermore, land and property needed to be clearly attributed and documented. For 200 years now, a mysterious person has been entrusted with this task. With the help of a plane table, he starts to register the land parcel by parcel. The task ordered by the emperor was enormous. To survey each piece of land to the last meter, he did not shy away from glaciers, deep crevices, and exposed summits. All that mattered to him was the accurate and detailed survey of the country, because he knew that he would thus provide important structures for the society. Innovative thinking had always been one of his strengths. Thus, he continued to refine his skills, especially where his tools were concerned. His measuring instruments and procedures were always state-of-the-art. Our hero attached great importance to harmony and a peaceful coexistence among the people. When boundary disputes are involved, he sometimes even drew boundary lines. Faithfully serving his orders, he documented situations and boundaries of all parcels of land. Thus, he took care that everything and everyone had its assigned place. To be able to retrace the agricultural development in Austria in even greater detail, our eager pioneer also liked to get on a plane. From above, it is much easier to capture changes in nature, the development of traffic infrastructure, buildings, or reforestation. He not only supplies citizens and property owners with geodata, but also the private sector, public administration, and many organizations who profit from the high value-added potential of his work. Digitization has meanwhile already substituted the old map sheets. The former analogous system, like original maps and additional papers, were substituted by the digital cadastral map as well as the real estate database and electronic archives. Today, it is possible to query information about parcels, their situation, and boundary very quickly online. This is made possible by innovative technologies with data transfer within seconds. He, the Austrian Cadastre, is indispensable for a modern state. He provides the documentation of the spatial attribution of property rights for land, and as an infrastructure, he is a guarantor for the business location Austria.
The
Franciscan Cadastre, spontaneously, is unbelievably impressive. It is comprised of a big part of Central Europe and covers the areas of Central Europe in a scale one would not have otherwise. One can zoom in very deeply into Central Europe and withdraw a lot of data from it. It is only by means of the Cadastre de facto that the political municipalities became possible, which were established in the middle of the 19th century. By this, you were able to define the municipalities, and also by means of the Cadastre, it eventually becomes possible to establish the land register at the end of the 19th century. With that, not only for the first time can you simultaneously capitalize land in a big area, but also the Franciscan Cadastre offers, besides from the land tax, the original intention, a building stone for the modern state. At the same time, a tool for the modern state because by means of the Cadastre, the modern state is represented. The notary's office is an intensive user of the Cadastre, and the functions of the Cadastre are very important, not only directly for our profession, but also for the basis of the land register. Without the Cadastre, there would be no real functioning land register on the one hand, and on the other hand, we need secured boundaries in many proceedings. We can either give the client the necessary recommendations based on the boundary cadastre, or we have to ask them in their own interest if only the old fiscal cadastre exists to get a survey, respectively to take the risk of incorrect boundaries. And for a perfect contract, you simply need to have a look at the cadastre. Well, I think that it is really a very special situation that we can assign every square centimeter in Austria to people, institutions, or owners. That we can also rely on a basis which accompanies our daily work that has become urgent and complex. So for us, nowadays, it has become indispensable. We have a basis to work with every day. When we have neighborhood disputes, we can document the situation relatively easily with orthophotos and the cadastral map to picture the special situation of boundary discussions. From our point of view, the Austrian cadastre is so special because it has traditionally a very high quality that means that our owners, land managers, can rely on a secure legal basis. And it describes precisely the land in its different facets of cultivation, ownership, and use, and that it is also an important basis for us as consultants. The Cadastre is for our organization, the Chamber of Agriculture, the crucial basis that explicitly defines ownership relations, cultivation relations, and area relations.
For
the provincial administration, the Cadastre is indispensable. Just think about spatial planning or environmental and nature protection or traffic planning. The information from the Cadastre supports our administrative processes, and the nationwide quick availability simply is very important and indispensable. A very good example is this project, where historical documents are being scanned and made digitally available. It is characteristic for the Cadastre that at first sight it seems to be homogeneous, but for a correct interpretation you need expertise and experience. Geographic information systems without data are like a car without fuel, or in the future without electricity. Thus, the early digital implementation of the Cadastre has to be highly appreciated. It was and finally is the basis for a very modern digital and also spatial administration in Austria. The digital Cadastre is the spatial and legal framework for the development of geographic reference systems. Our customers are able to fulfill their administrative tasks precisely and legally protected in nearly all areas based on the Cadastre. What makes the Cadastre so special is its power for innovation. For example, the public administration, but also the private sector, that works at it, has used in development techniques of e-government and e-administration already when these terms did not even exist. That the Cadastre is always up to date is very important, because only then it guarantees that it is a good tool for the state, the society, and thus also for my profession. But it is also very important for me to say that the Cadastre is up to date because it is such a good example of the good cooperation between the public administration and the private sector. The Cadastre of today is a comprehensive information system that serves a multitude of different demands. To maintain such a system with reliable and up-to-date information requires the tight cooperation of many: cadastral authorities, civil engineers, notaries and lawyers, fiscal authorities, authorities and offices of the provinces and communities, land registry tribunals, and many others. The great value of the Austrian Cadastre is that many work together to provide a system for all. A system that guarantees personal legal certainty, which is essential for the safety and stability of the business location, which enables sustainable communal planning at a regional and national level, such as providing exact addresses and many other useful applications for society. Since its foundation in 1923, the Federal Office of Metrology and Surveying has had a determining influence in shaping this process. However, the BEV could have not succeeded alone. Definitively, the Cadastre and the Land Registry are one of the oldest and most successful examples of a private-public partnership, and hence stable and sustainable. Thinking about the future of the Cadastre, we have to be aware that in our times of rapid changes, an outlook for the next 5 years will be difficult. To look ahead to the next 10 years will be nearly impossible. Therefore, it is of vital importance that the tasks for the years to come are tackled efficiently, thoroughly, and above all, with vision. Undoubtedly, the main focus until 2025 lies on the complete digital availability of all the documents and deeds constituting the Cadastre, as well as the continuous digitalization of the ongoing update process. Only this complete switch to the digital world lays the solid foundation for significant enlargements and the application of future technologies.
BEV